Joined now via Zoom with Luke Hobson, the newest member of Team USA, getting set to head off to Paris to compete in the upcoming Olympics. Luke, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Reno native here, going to represent Team USA. You qualified in the 200-meter freestyle. You'll also compete in the 4x200-meter free relay. Just tell us just about Olympic trials and this entire experience as now you've clinched a spot in Paris.
Yeah, I really have nothing to say but good things about it. It was out in Indianapolis, Indiana, and they had it in the Colts football stadium, which was actually really cool. And by far the biggest crowd I've ever swam in front of, like 20,000 plus, which for a swim meet is unheard of. So I honestly think that crowd helped me a lot, pushed me through my races, and ultimately pushed me to Paris, which I'm super happy about. And the whole trial is just qualifying for the team. It's kind of a relief because it's very stressful and pretty intense meet. Um, but like I said, the stadium atmosphere really helped out and pushed me to the last 50 of that 200 free. So I couldn't be happier to qualify and be able to represent not only Texas but all of Northern Nevada at the games later this summer.
We were watching you on TV and you were, pulling up on that last 50. I guess just kind of what was going through your mind knowing, hey, you had to make a strong push there at the end to come away and to clinch a spot.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of just like this is my one shot. This is my chance to book my ticket to Paris. I better give it everything I have. And kind of those thoughts flash through your head while you're racing, and then really just like the excitement of seeing you're in the lead, and then that kind of just pushed me through the finish.
You mentioned, the Olympic trials at the Colts Stadium, 20,000 fans. That's pretty insane. What was that moment like for you just when you walked in there just to, take it all in and realize this is where you were going to be competing?
Yeah, it's the setup was amazing, like lights, loud music, everything. Um, But in like the walkout, they made it a whole big deal for like the athlete to walk out. And I just remember like stepping out and looking out in the stadium and be like, wow, like that's a lot of people. But I loved it. It was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I can imagine, were your parents able to be there, family and friends
Yeah,
cheering you
both my
along?
parents and sister got to see it and one of my aunts. So it was cool. It was fun to do it in front of them, and I'm glad they were there to see it.
That's awesome. So tell us now what these next several weeks look like for you before you head off for Paris.
Yeah, still in the pool every day, just preparing, fine-tuning, getting ready to give it my best shot in Paris. And but so after Indy, stayed for a few days, had like a whole team practice with the newly named Olympic team, which was super fun. I know a lot of people at the top, but met some new people, got to know the team, and after that came back to Austin to train for about a week, and then I go off to a domestic training camp in North Carolina for about 8 days. And then after that, we go to Croatia for 12 days or so. And then after that, off to Paris finally. So I'm really looking forward to camp. It's where you kind of like bond with the team, you come together as Team USA, and it's super exciting.
Yeah, because just in that short snippet that you've had already in that one team practice, I mean, what do you hope maybe that you can learn from some of these other swimmers who have been there before and have been to Olympic Games?
I think a lot of it is just trying to like learn from their experiences, like what it's like. Because swimming in the Olympic Games is like something that I feel like every kid who grew up swimming wants to do. So it's kind of like there's definitely gonna be nerves, but I think talking with some of the older veterans who have been through it before and getting to know them and hearing their experiences will help all the younger guys like me who it's their first games will help us exceed when we get to Paris.
I remember when we spoke with you right as you were graduating high school back in 2021, and you had competed in the Omaha Olympic trials ahead of the
hmm
Tokyo Games. When you look back on that moment and how far you've come now just in 3 short years, could you have imagined that this is where you'd be today and you'd be heading to Paris?
Yeah, it's funny. My one of my coaches asked me that, like, you've made it a long way in 3 years, and I was like, yeah, I really have. Like, it's hard to believe. I did not think I would be at this level in just 3 years. Because back right when I graduated high school, when I went to the Olympic trials, I don't even remember what I finished, but it was definitely towards the end. And to move up 40 something spots and win this year and be actually going to the games is something that I dreamed of, but like never. I mean, I always thought it could happen, but not like I wouldn't be like, yeah, I'm making the Olympics, but I'm so happy that I did.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, it comes down to
No.
every tenth of a second, hundredth
Hmm.
of a second. But you had another chance at the World Championships
Hmm.
earlier this year. You won a bronze medal in the 200 free. Just now that you've competed in a couple World Games, how do you think that experience, having another year of that under your belt, will help you now as you do compete on the biggest stage?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think it's huge. I mean, the format of these meets, so like 9-day meet, and you have a prelim, semifinal, and then final. So it's three of each of your races. It's a lot to manage. And I think the more reps you can get through doing that, I mean, it obviously gives you more experience, but the better you'll be. And I mean, Worlds in Japan last summer and then Doha. This spring have definitely helped me and helped me manage the rounds and getting through that way better at trials. And I think every time you do it, it's just more experience, more confidence in yourself. So I think by the time I get to Paris, I'll have done it 4 or 5 times and I'm super confident, know what I'm doing, going in, ready to go.
Let's rewind even a little bit more back to the NCAA championships back in March. You
Mhm.
set the American record and the NCAA record in the 200 free. What was that whole race like for you to be able to hit such a mark at that time?
Yeah, so there's a bit of a story to it. The meet starts off NC2As with the 800 freestyle relay, and my team Texas was in the second to last heat, and I actually broke the American and NC2A record. And then a guy in the next heat who's French, Leon Marchand, he's a pretty big name in swimming. He ended up breaking it in the next heat, going the first 128 ever. And I saw that. I was kind of mad. I was like, I need to get that back in the individual. And 2 days later, ended up going racing, had a good prelim swim, and then came back at night and I was like, yeah, this is the time. I'm taking it back. And ended up getting it. And that was a cool moment just because it's something that I'd always wanted. And I'd seen way back when Dean Ferris set the record that I originally broke. I saw him do it and I was like, wow, that's cool. Like 200 free is a cool event. I want to be like that one day. And it's just cool to be able to actually do it. And I'm super happy with that.
Yeah, what a crazy event then, to
Hmm.
break this record, have it broken, and then to be able to go back out and to set another record. So
Hmm.
you will be heading off to Paris with a couple guys who familiar with from Texas and some other
Hmm.
guys that you've trained with. What are you looking forward to most? Maybe going to Paris with them and just from this whole experience.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, just spending time with all of them at camp. It's some of the most fun memories in swimming. Just because we're just training, but like most of the day, we're just hanging out with each other, having a good time. So that, and then also just competing in Olympics with them. Like, they're some of my closest friends, and I think it will kind of just bring us all closer together and meet some new people too who are on the team. So, yeah, it's exciting.
You mentioned your parents were at Olympic trials. Will they be able to make the trip over to Paris
Yeah,
to
they
watch you?
are. Yep. Yep.
That's
Super
awesome.
exciting. I'm glad they're able to do that.
Just what has their support meant to you over the years, putting you through, swim lessons, camps, and, competing at Lake Ridge and
Mhm.
just their support as you, embark on this trip to Paris?
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't have been possible without them, and they've done so much for me from whatever it is, driving me to those early morning practices or waiting for me in the roundabout at the Lake Ridge pool while I was messing around in the showers or whatever in the hot tub. But they've been so huge in the whole process, and they're nothing but supportive, and they do a great job of like leaving me alone and letting me prepare for the meet, and then afterwards we can hang out, talk, and they're so proud of me. It's really cool to see. I'm happy that I could make them proud, and it's just a good feeling.
Anything else about Paris or the Olympics that you're looking forward to that maybe you didn't touch on?
Honestly, being to Paris, that'll be my first time in France. That'll be pretty cool. I'm excited for that, and I think just seeing like the village, like I feel like that would be really cool because just like all these elite athletes like in the same area. And just like the whole spirit of the Olympic Games, it's kind of like the pinnacle of sports. So I think it's going to be really cool.
Well, we're wishing you the best of luck from Northern Nevada as the Paris Olympics begin. The opening ceremonies on July 26th over on NBC. Luke Hobson, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.